Hi everybody, I'm Bree the Plant Lady, checking in with a weekly garden tour. It's of course the last week of January and all the seedlings are growing great. So I'm making this not only a weekly tour, but also a seedling ID video so that it will be a useful reference for all of you who are growing along with me, creating beautiful seed-grown cottage gardens. So we will start right here in the front garden where a lot of stuff is going on. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm a little bit nervous that there's too much bachelor button, like way too much bachelor button. So let's start there. This is all bachelor button, Centuria. And these get really big. And usually like maybe 15 plants is enough. I mean, there's more than 15 plants right here. And then you look across and you see most of the green is all bachelor button. I'm not doing anything yet, but I think I'm going to have to. And I hate that reality, but we over-sowed it and that's the consequence. You know, this is something that we did during the cottage garden classes that we hosted. And obviously there was a lot of bachelor button in the mix that we sowed, and I think it's too much. So bachelor button here. Then right here adjacent we have larkspur. Good plant, great plant. I'm really thrilled to show you that all of the cilantro is germinating. So this here is cilantro. You can see, so the cotyledon leaves, those are the first true leaves. And what I love about this combination of cilantro and larkspur is the blue and dark purple with the white flowers of the cilantro. All right, moving along to the edge, well, we have a ton of daffodils that are coming up. And then we have the spicy mixed greens, which are still really small. And I've been wondering if I do need to put in some fertilizer. I'm gonna wait just because I think it's still a bit early. I don't want plants to start growing rapidly, being really tender, and we get cold again. It's very likely that we will get cold again. So you can see here, this is lettuce. This is kale. You can really tell with the silvery look there. Here is California poppy. Of course, more bachelor buttons. Oh boy, this is gonna be a bed full of bachelor buttons, which, I mean, they're wonderful plants, but it is possible to have too many, and like that, I'm classifying as too many. I'll definitely, when I make the decision, I'll definitely make a video showing my process for thinning. It's not something that I like to do. It's something I actually discourage people from doing. But when you have a population like this, I think it may actually be necessary. It does not bring me any joy to share that information with you. So again, just to show you, these are a bit more advanced, sown the same day. So that here is probably more protected. That actually looks like mustard right here. This is lettuce. We've got California poppy, and we've got kale. That's more kale, and that is mustard. And I have other areas of the garden where they're more mature, and it's really easy to differentiate the two. All right, so I've been showing you all the seedlings in that outer border. So now let me show you the poppies, which I sowed intentionally kind of in this back half. And here we have a massive poppy population. But I think all of these look like the World War II poppy, Papaver Reese. These don't look to me like Papaver somniferum. So these are going to be the smaller ones, the corn poppies. And you can see, of course, mixed with those, here are the poppies. Here is a bad plant, that doggone geranium that is so invasive. And of course, I've got a lot of vetch I mean, my job for pulling vetch is never done. You can see, look at those roots. Lamium, problem plant. Don't want that to go to flower and seed. And of course, while I'm pulling these, I'm pulling up some of the good plants, but it is a necessary evil. Just to give you a behind the scenes here, I have a lot of vetch, and it's small and pretty easy to pull out because the ground is really nice and moist. So today would be a good day to, you know, spend some time on my hands and knees doing exactly what I'm doing here, pulling out the problems. Here's another problem plant, that Veronica, that I'm constantly trying to fight. So probably the only thing I don't have in here is cleavers or the Velcro weed. Thank God I don't, because that plant is a nightmare. Of course, I'm sure the cats will do their job and try and spread it. But again, show you the good poppies, larkspur. There's more bachelor button. There will be no possibility that we will lack in the bachelor buttons this year. So here more in the middle, I know I threw a ton of poppy seeds in here, but I really don't see great germination. So I'm a bit disappointed by, but it's just how it is. In here, more vetch, California poppies, bachelor buttons. Let's see, larkspur. Over here, I do see poppies. Again, these look like the Reese poppies, not the Papaver somniferum. And I had I'd thrown a couple handfuls of the giant poppies in here. Aha, I think I see them, you guys. They are still really tiny. They're these. They were sown like maybe a month and a half later than all the rest of this, but I am happy to see some that are germinating. So fingers crossed they'll catch up. Of course, the broccoli that I harvested in advance of the cold spell is starting to put up side shoots, so that's a good reason to keep it in. And all these broccolis do look great. I think because of their adjacency to the sidewalk, which is very much on purpose, they really weren't impacted by the recent cold spell. And I have a lot that are still growing to be able to harvest from. Good and bad. Good. Larkspur. You see the larkspurs are getting nice and big. Good. Nigella. You can really see the difference between the Nigella and the larkspur now as they get older. Bad. More vetch. What a surprise. There's vetch absolutely everywhere. You can see it's all through this bed. I need to spend some time doing that. And this bed has a particularly intense infestation of that Veronica that I'm always trying to fight. And you can see that right there. It's already starting to flower, which means that it will start setting seed. So time is of the essence to get this stuff removed. Now I just wanted to show you the tardily deciduous habit of this Lindera angustifolia or Lindera salicifolia, whatever species it's called now. Looking good, but you know, all these leaves will fall off when the new growth starts to push out. And that's probably still about a month away. Now, hopefully you watched my video yesterday all about January flowers, so I'm not gonna put a lot of emphasis today on all the Prunus mumes and other things that are in bloom, because I made a video exclusively all about that. But it is a magical time of year and a wonderful vision, and so many bees are out active right now, and it's just really an exciting time. I always say, like, the joy of this time of year compensates for the heat of July and August. You could see tons of flowers are about to open on this October affair, Camellia japonica. You know, some got nipped by the cold, and that's to be expected, see, even in bud form, but plenty were not impacted at all. And it's gonna be a spectacular show. You can see this one is starting to open here, And they are just some of the most architecturally interesting camellia flowers that have ever existed. It's also hellebore season, and I've got quite a few open. And of course, my goal here is I harvest every single flower and I float them in arrangements, and that prevents them from self-sowing. And this is a really important point because these hellebores can be a bit invasive, and I'm trying to prevent that from happening, but I still enjoy their flowers. So I have a lot of floating flower arrangements to make. And this is definitely the time of year when this rounding the corner is very dramatic with the Josephine Prunus mume and the Matsubara Red in full bloom. I really like the Matsubara Red with this windmill palm. And luckily, my favorite plant for floating arrangements, this variegated Alstroemeria, was not hit too hard by the cold. Some years it dies all the way to the ground from cold snaps, but we didn't get cold enough to really impact that. Now, I did want to show you this camellia that I've had in a pot for like 10 years, and it gets absolutely no attention whatsoever, and it's doing a great job blooming this year. This is one called Camellia japonica unryu, and it's because it's got these sort of contorted branches that makes it really interesting. You know, the single red flowers aren't the most spectacular, but I think they're beautiful, and you can see how many blooms there are. And again, that's been in a pot for a decade. I have not changed the soil. It's growing in soil cube with a little bit of pine bark added. So camellias do make really great container plants. Don't want to ever discourage anybody from growing a camellia. Now, I said that all the mangaves look terrible, and all do except for that one right there. And that is looking great, not impacted by the cold. You can see this one has totally melted. And the interesting thing is these are the same cultivar, but this one had flowered, so it was going to die anyway. So pleased to show you this guy making it, and hopefully it will also bloom because I don't want it to get much bigger than that for the spot that it's in. That's on me for putting it there. As you walk around here, I want to show you, of course, the arugula is totally doing its thing. Already starting to bolt, that'll set more seeds. Been harvesting lots of arugula foliage, though you would never know because there's so much of it. It's delicious in every way. You can see this bed, all self-sown. I haven't sown arugula seed in like a decade. Now, this planter that I did not all that long ago, I was testing to see if these succulents were hardy. They're not. Oh, sidebar, look at those cute little lizards. So that's okay, it's melted. I know, I have plenty of this saved in both sheds. But you can see the grains have germinated really nicely. And along with that, we've got baby poppies germinating. And I'm really pleased to see that these are growing. These are the giant poppies that were shared to me from a friend in England. And well, I'm thrilled. I'm absolutely thrilled. All right, redwood update. I am definitely convinced there's something wrong. You see, there's incredible chlorosis on these branches. I've added fertilizer. I don't think that's the solution. The color is a bit off. Of course, you know, I had a couple of large branches just die very suddenly, and so I think this may have some kind of infection. I need to do some research about it, but unfortunately, I'm not sure that this is gonna last the test of time, which is okay. It's really in an inappropriate spot for how big it would ultimately get. But I'll definitely keep you posted on that. I just wanted to acknowledge that I do think that there is something like physiologically wrong with it. So great ground plane coverage in this bed. These are definitely all the corn poppies. You can see they've got kind of a greener, more rounded leaf. Here we have California poppies. Here we have centuria. And then we have, let's see, here is crimson clover. And of course we've got lupins growing really well. Let me gently step in this bed and give you an up close view of those lupins, which have such an interesting leaf and, you know, a texture and different color compared to everything else. I think this bed's gonna be really awesome when it starts to bloom. Of course, lots of daffodils are coming up, and I'm really pleased to show you that the fava beans that were looking a bit worse for wear at the beginning of the week have definitely perked up thanks to the warm weather. Of course, at the base of them is chickweed. Because gosh, I haven't shown you any chickweed yet today. Did you think I didn't have it? That just wouldn't be an actual possibility to be in a world without chickweed. And yes, I know it's edible. I don't like it. I always tell people, oh, you like it so much, why don't you come over and weed? You can take all of it. No one ever takes me up on that offer. Now in this bed, I referenced that I had some more mature combinations of kale and mustard, and that's exactly here what I'm showing you. This is mustard, this is kale. You can really see the difference in the color. The mustard is a lighter green. The kale is more silvery. And this bed, I think, is going to be spectacular. However, I do have a lot of chickweed in here. I'm just now starting to see. And this is where weeding is never one and done. You have to just keep up with it. And again, when the ground is nice and moist, it's easier to pluck all these problem plants out, but you do have to be careful. So let's see, let me show you. Chickweed, see small leaves. Get that out of there. Here is Nigella. These are also a weed. Oh my gosh. Here's crimson clover. Here is mustard. Here is kale. And then we have a good amount of poppy growing in this bed. Let me again step in here. Gosh, there's a lot of weeding that needs to be done. You can see all of this is chickweed, but here are breadseed poppies. And then these are the corn poppies right here. So it can be a little bit difficult to distinguish, but this is the breadseed poppy. This is the corn poppy. You see how these leaves are more dissected compared to these? This is also a softer green. And a bird's eye view. A lot of good stuff mixed with some bad stuff. It's kind of the essence of it all, right? Here at the feed tank bed, did a nice mix of California poppies, of which there are a million, and arugula, and there was lettuce in here. Yes, there is lettuce in here. You can see that right there. And lupins. You can see the lupin right here, which is more purple colored. And of course, we've got the allium schubertii all popping up. So I think this bed's gonna be really pretty. And I have a feeling this one's gonna be early. This was one of the first that I seeded. So this might be one of the first cottage gardens to really get into action. Now I think the deer are not as bad as they were in this bed. I could probably remove some of this tomato or these cattle fences because the deer are now eating all of the camellias, and I need to repurpose my fencing to help preserve other plants. And show you here this trough that was planted and covered. Everything's rebounded really well. Again, the fava beans were the real reason that I covered the bed, and they've really bounced back. And you can see, of course, kale, Lots of mustard greens in here. These are ideal for salads, and they're really delicious. And here you can see lupins. So I have a feeling this video is getting really long, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it in half. So you'll have 2 installations of the weekly garden tour and seedling ID. So I hope you'll tune in tomorrow so that you can see updates on all the rest of the cottage borders that I have growing here in my central North Carolina garden located in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. Well, everybody, thanks so much for watching. I hope this video will be helpful, and I look forward to sharing another update tomorrow.